And good evening to the live people, and good evening to everybody who's watching this as a video. We're going to get started in just a minute or two to let the live people get their notifications and come on. So what we're doing today is the August psychic forecast. So we'll have the overview. It's also the full moon on August the 1st. So we're going to do a little section on the full moon also to start out, and then have the psychic forecast for us as a community. Maybe some stuff will come up for you personally, for the world at large. And it's basically a psychic forecast. I'm not really trying to nail down specific world events, although that sometimes that comes through, but rather to kind of give you a snapshot of the energy and what that means to us and how we can best navigate that to have the best month possible, basically. And then we have like some exercises that Spirit gave me to share with us that are very succinct with the energies of this August. And I'll finish up with some divination cards. So I need some water. Oh, I see people are coming on. Good. I'll say a few quick hellos. And by the way, lots of tech issues going on today. If my image goes out of sync with my voice, I apologize. If God forbid the internet crashes, because that's happened twice today already, neutralize that thought. It's not going to happen tonight. But if it does, just hang out. It takes me about 5 minutes to reboot it. So I just wanted to mention that. And I know a lot of people are still coming on and still getting their notifications. So a few quick hellos, and we're going to get going. So Suzette and Gaming with Aria, welcome. Hi, Claire. Hi, beautiful Soul and Yolanda, and hi Tamara and MT and Jody. Welcome. Hi Jennifer. Hi Susan. Hi Felicia. Hi Yvonne. Hi Children's School of Yoga. Hi Doreen again. We just did a yoga class. If you missed it, it's available as a video. We did that at 5. Hi Lisa Marie, Susan. Hi Michael. And that's all who's commented so far. So people are still getting their notifications. They're still coming on. So you notice I have my glasses on. That means I mean business. I take a lot of notes. I work a lot for my notes with this because there's just no way I'm going to keep all this information in my head. And I also kind of leave things open for Spirit to input. And I always call on Spirit to be with me. So in case there's things that I'm missing, that they'll download that into my brain, through my thick skull, and hopefully it'll translate into messages for you. So hi, Kelly. Welcome. And hi, Crystal. And if anybody's new, by the way, you want to say hi, introduce yourselves, and where in this big wide world you are and you are watching from, because we are a global community after all. And very good. So yoga class was great. Yes, I enjoyed that a lot. Green's from North Carolina. I think that's North Carolina. Or Northern California, maybe, or Northern Colorado. All right. Anyways, and one of the things is, for whatever reason, that my camera that I use for my live stream, I'm not able to do landscape mode anymore. So I've got to change. I had to change my whole format. So I'm getting used to that. Camera's here, but the computer's here. Oh, anyway, hi Felicia again. All right, and we had tarot time at 11, so that's what Felicia's alluding to. Thank you for the tarot pull this morning. Find a court. Oh, very good. Cut it out. You mentioned the goddess Ma'at, so I went to Steve Noble. Oh, Steve Noble, or Nobel, depending on how he pronounced it, is one of the best meditation facilitators I've ever come across. He's on YouTube, and he's amazing, simply amazing. So I highly recommend him and his channel. All right, so I think we're ready to get started. Anybody that comes in late knows that they can just rewind and start at the beginning. I'll be talking a lot, so I'll be reading a lot of this. So a couple of things that are coming. Oh, hi from Craryville, and the Albany area. Welcome to two people. I think Craryville's in the Albany area. If I'm mistaken, I apologize, Roberta. And hi, Crystal from Albany, New York. So Tuesday evening, we're going to do our full moon frequency channeling with the master teachers and the archangels, and the activations to prepare for the Lionsgate portal, which actually, according to my sources, starts opening up around July 28th, which I believe is when Sirius starts to become visible in the pre-dawn hours, the star Sirius. It's a fixed star at 16 degrees Cancer, so the sun's got to really kind of get, pretty much into Leo, at least 25 or 30 degrees away from that star before you can start to see it in the night sky. Otherwise, it's too bright. And that's the beginning of the dog days of summer also. Sirius is the dog star. So anyway, full moon channeling to prepare for that portal. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Thursday night, all these are happening at 7 p.m. Eastern time, is our every Sabbath, every Celtic Sabbath, we do mediumship, free mediumship here live on the channel. So log in at 7. I'll just get messages. You might get a message from one of your loved ones. So that's going to be on Thursday. And Lammas, this is the Celtic Sabbath that's right with us right now, or Lughnasadh is the midsummer celebration. So we're at Midsummer's Day now, August 1st, and the first harvest of the year also. So you guys that have gardens, those green peas are probably coming in already. So in anyways, so that's that. And then Tuesday on the August the 8th, we're actually going to do a powerful portal transmission for the Lionsgate portal. That's right in the heart of it. And since I'm talking about it, basically it's based on being in the sign Leo. There's different portal activations at different times of the year. 8/8 is a well-known one. Again, Sirius lining up with the Pyramid of Giza and the Earth forming an alignment helps to open up that portal. And the ancients knew about it. And people think that it's kind of a new agey kind of a thing, but no, the ancients celebrated that time of year. The ancient Egyptians celebrated that because they knew that there was an energy portal opening up around that time. And it's really good for healing and manifestation. So, and it also helps to connect us with great spirit. So it's also right in the middle of the sign Leo, hence the Lionsgate portal. August 7th, August 8th, depending on the years, when the sun is at 15 degrees, right in the middle of the sign Leo. So we have a little bit of astrological stuff. I don't know if I mentioned that I have a little bit. Oh, that's part of the overview. Okay, that's part of the month overview. So that's going on. And also, if you like to dive deeper into the stuff that we do and do more frequency channeling to help to safely accelerate your spiritual growth and your ascension upgrades, we do that on Spirit Mind Family. That's the inner core, community on Patreon. So we have that. We do a lot of exclusive videos and meditation that I don't share anywhere else, and frequency channeling and uncensored discussion. So when this becomes a video, how to get more information will be on the pinned comment of that. So there's a few things when I was doing my notes, a few things that came in because I was seeing feathers. So a lot of you are getting closer to spirit now. A lot of you that are watching this live or the video are getting closer to spirit. And it's interesting because when Doreen was doing her yoga class, she was talking about finding a feather also. So that's really in the air. We were talking about the goddess Ma'at, I think goddess, the Egyptian avian being that a lot of the old deities I believe are of extraterrestrial origins, where the myths came from, and there are avian beings in different star systems. So anyway, so a lot of you are going to be linking closer to spirit. So a lot of you are going to be starting to channel this month, automatic writing. So you'll be open to that, and when information comes, understand it's not just your imagination. Your ego just wants to tell you that. It's just that when we get information from spirit, it activates the same portion of the brain as if we're making things up. So sometimes it feels like we're making things up. It's the imaging part of the brain. That's where imagination comes from, the word image. So new channels, stuff like that. So that was just a little message that came up. All right. So I'm all over the place today, and so are my notes. So firstly, the main highlight is prepare for September. So September, I've heard this from a lot of astrologers also. I don't know the details of the aspects in December, but that's going to be a very big month. Spirit's been kind of telling me that July was really big. A lot of it was not on the news, but a lot has happened in the month of July. And a lot of weather records have been set. And what was it? Manatee Bay recorded a sea temperature of 101 degrees. Like that's, I mean, I know it's a shallow bay in southern Florida, but that's crazy ridiculous. So so in any event, so that's the main kind of the general overview about August. Is preparation, prepare for really big wholesale changes in the world and society. We may get glimpses of that in August. Timelines are fluid; they can change as we change, and understand no prediction is set in stone. And yeah, and one very good astrologer who's right on, right on. I won't mention the person's name, was telling me back in 2020 that by the end of 2021 that YouTube was going to be shut down. There's going to be internet blackouts. Why am I starting a YouTube channel? Because it's just going to get shut down. Well, it's 2023, and knock on wood, it hasn't been shut down yet. And we'd be scrambling on FEMA lines trying to get food and everything. I mean, I know these are worst case scenarios and everything, but the point being is nothing's written in stone. And a lot of this stuff did happen. It just didn't happen to such a severe degree. And a lot of that is us. A lot of that is those of us that are really doing spiritual work, really opening our hearts, and really working on upgrading the frequencies for everybody. So good job, everyone. The work is definitely not done, but there's definitely been a shift in the balance of power. And for those of you that are aware of like the deep state and the Kabbalah and we used to call it the grand plan back in the 80s. I started studying this stuff in the 70s, about the agendas and everything. And we always knew the 2020s and we're going to be really changeable and tough years. Even back then, we called it the grand plan then. And it's been, hundreds of years in the making. The monarchy, like the British monarchy, like the corporation head, it's all connection in a great web of corruption that seeks to really centralize everything and enslave the masses, for their gains and their selfish gains and their control. But as we keep evolving and keep awakening, there's so much pressure against the awakening that's being leveled against us, from everything from Wi-Fi signals and frequencies to things we see on the news, things we see in commercials, things we see on TV. All of this stuff, it's really like trying to attack and trying to dismantle the whole spiritual movement and prevent us from being more spiritual. We just have to be stronger. What do I always say for my regulars? Be in the heart. When you're in your heart, you're in your power. Hearts cannot be programmed. You're in the eye of the storm when you're fully in your heart center. And when your heart is expanded and open and coherent, the brain locks into coherence. The brain and the heart blend, and then your subconscious mind is more resistant to the programming also. So, I can watch the news, I can do all this stuff, and I mean, I shouldn't say not be affected, because then I'm being a little bit probably in my head or in my ego a little bit too much. But certainly, I can resist that more than the average person. I'll put it that way. So anyway, preparation for big changes. We've said this other months. There have been incremental changes. Really crazy things have happened. And I'll explain again as I go deeper into this. So we start the month out with a full moon, right on Lammas, right on the first harvest, a very holy day in for especially for the neo-pagans that are with us. You know that very well. It's also a super moon. Just means that the full moon is more closer to, I think it's called the perigee, when the moon is closest in its orbit. So it just means that the moon's closer, its effects are stronger, basically, for everything from the tides to the tide within us, because we're 70% water. So, the moon, what the moon's doing affects us because it affects the water in our body, basically. The 8th, Leo, okay, the sun in Leo is going to square Jupiter. I'm just talking about a few astrological highlights. By the way, August is also a universal 15 month, which reduces to 6 in numerology. That's a very healing number. There's a lot of good energy in August. It's tough, but there's a lot of beautiful, good energy. 6 really taps into the idea of service and family and figuring out ways that we can be of greater service to our communities, to our families, to ourselves, because we have to serve ourselves to be able to serve other people also. Leo's also the sun. Everything revolves around the sun. So the unevolved Leo can be very self-centered, but the evolved Leo knows to take good care of themselves. And also Leo rules the heart. So there's a lot of heart opening and heart expansion energy. And being in a Venus influence 6 universal month, it really doubles that. So really work with the heart. That's very important. So also the 8th is the peak of the Lionsgate portal, the 9th Venus and Uranus square. So we've got a now is the Sun Jupiter a square or a trine? No, it's a square. It's definitely a square. And Leo and Taurus are activated by both the Venus Uranus square as well as the Sun Jupiter square. Uranus is very, very active. So this is a big month of surprises, even more than July. And leading into July, I tell you, this is going to be a big month of surprises. Now Uranus is even more in play in August. So it's also very revolutionary, it's very evolutionary, and it's very social energy also. I'll get to that in a minute. So the new moon's on the 16th. Now the 16th is a very kind of dubious numerology because it aligned with the Tower card in the tarot. That's key 16. And in the Chaldean system of numerology, the symbol is the shattered citadel, which is basically the Tower card. It's basically the same thing. So having a new moon, and last winter we had, was it the new moons or the full moons? I think it's the full moons. It might have been the new moons, but they all lined up 7 in a row at 16 degrees of their respective signs. So it must have been the full moon because the new moon's in 16 degrees and this month. Anyway, point being is the new moon is the template for the whole 28 cycles. It starts out with a real energetic bang, and that's going to help the unsustainable structures, this house of cards that this society has been built upon, with the foundation of greed, corruption, and lust for power and power over people. It's going to come down. That big bad wolf, known as consciousness, is going to blow all that down, and a big rebuild is going to come. Now we have to remember we're still in the USA Pluto return, the final leg of it, and I think it's going to be a doozy, but challenging, yes, but beautiful also. This is what we want. And there's no doom and gloom here. There's no sugarcoating, but there's no doom and gloom because we understand that the world needs to change. We understand that there's powerful forces opposing that, and therefore it's going to be challenging. We have to be spiritual warriors. It starts by being in our heart. It starts by being in our strategy, being in our heart, and being in our power. So also right around that new moon, the Sun and Uranus, what are they doing? They're Mars and Uranus are trining, which is a nice thing. Sun and Uranus are squaring. So so the squares bring up challenges and energies and conflict. Mars, the trines are much more flowy. So having Mars and Uranus, which is kind of almost like well, actually Uranus is more of a higher octave of Mercury, the sign the planet Mercury than Mars, and Mars being in Virgo and Uranus in Taurus. That's really nice because that's going to add like a lot of energy to making positive change and social reforms and stuff like that. Now the Sun and Uranus square, that's like surprises. That's just flat out like a lot of surprises. And the Sun is in Leo. Yeah, it's going to really affect the power structure. So, and it's at that 16 degrees. So the start of wholesale changes leading to big revolts in the fall season. So something to keep an eye on. And I'm sorry, I'm not really keeping an eye on your comments so much as I do in some of my other live streams, but carry on, carry on. So moving on to the 22nd, I'm just touching on some of the major astrological aspects now. Mars and Neptune are going to oppose, and that's going to ruffle a few feathers that need to be ruffled for sure. Mars is in Virgo, Neptune's in Pisces. So Neptune being in Pisces, that's 7 and something with the number 7. I forgot what that was, but anyway, a lot of Neptunian energy comes in with that. And then the 23rd, our Mercury retrograde begins, and I didn't write it down, but I think it's right after Mercury goes into retrograde. Uranus is going to go into retrograde also. So again, Uranus is very active when planets are stationing, and Uranus is virtually stationed all of August. they have more power. They sit in the same spot and they just vibrate from that same spot. And in this case, Uranus is a god, I can't remember, in the sign Taurus. So what is Taurus? It's the structure, right? It's the money. So expect a lot of changes in currency, the current of currency, and the whole style of investing, and the corporations. A lot's got to fall. So anyway, that's just kind of an overview. Now I wrote it down here. The 27th, the Sun and Neptune are in opposition. Sun in Virgo by the 27th, Neptune still in Pisces. The 28th, Uranus stations to go direct. Personal freedom gets under fire more, but there's more energy toward that, and revolts tend to increase. And that's likely to happen September, October, November, December, going to 2024, where the big bang really happens, and right in time for the April 7th or April 8th, I think, total eclipse that's going to make it like a beeline right through western New York and the Great Lakes region. The eastern Great Lakes is going to get a total eclipse on April the 8th. So the 30th is the second full moon of the month, so that's called the blue moon. I know you know that's going to be 7 degrees Pisces. That's where all this Neptune energy comes, because 7 is Neptune ruled. Pisces is Neptune ruled. Neptune is pretty active, so a lot of emotional releases. That's going to be a full moon of a lot of psychic work and a lot of cleansing and clearing. Very watery energy, so a lot of cleansing is going to take place from that full moon right through the lunar cycle and into the next 6 months or so. So anyway, there's a brief overview. And hi, Mafe, Maria, hi, Carissa, hi, Felicia, Yolanda, Laura, Janet, and anybody else that I said. Solar Flash is bringing in DNA, God's energy. Thank you for that ad. That's beautiful. And we expect more of those solar flashes. Very good, very good. Very good. I'm just... Timelines are fluid, absolutely. All right. So let's focus on the full moon now. Once we get these full moons off the beginning of the month, I'll bring that back to separate live streams, just focusing on the full moon. But for now, it's all lumped together in one big long, probably an hour-long live stream, being that we're 22 minutes into it already. So August 1st, 9 degrees Aquarius. In numerology, that 9-degree point is about completions and ending, but it's also about going within. 9 is Mars ruled, but it's also the Hermit in the tarot. It's also about that higher wisdom and going within. So so the full moon in 9 degrees in Aquarius is really a lot about like community, right? And sharing. It's also evolution, revolution, and big surprises. So it's really tapping into that higher mind, that higher wisdom, and that higher intelligence. So as the moon is full, Mars and Jupiter are trining, which is quite beautiful. That's a very harmonious energy. Mercury and Saturn in opposition. Mercury in Virgo, Saturn in Pisces. Now the interesting thing about Mercury in Virgo. All right. Anyway, Mercury tends to rule out over that. So Saturn can be about our lessons. It can be about the structures also. So these elements are coming in. So it's also Lammas or Lugnasa, the first harvest. So anyway, there's 7 things to mention in the that I mentioned that Spear gave me about this full moon. First thing is endings and completions, of course. That's that 9-degree point I was talking about. All positive endings will get a boost. So the full moon energy carries into the final 2 weeks of the lunar cycle also. So from the full moon right into the next new moon, this is going to be a good time to complete things, unhealthy things that you don't need anymore, stuff like that. So the second thing is community support and resources. That's that Aquarian energy of the full moon. And what they want is for us to connect with the like-minded people, to pool our resources, whether they're resources of knowledge, resources of supplies, or things like that. And because it's very evolutionary and revolutionary in nature, there may be more in the way of like thinking about off-grid living, or how if there was a cutoff of the supply chain, how we'd survive and stuff like that. I think, it could still happen. We've been mitigating a lot of that energy, but it still could happen. So community support's a very important facet of this particular full moon. 3 is portals are opening. There's an August 1st portal. There's a Lionsgate portal. Powerful. See, it's not funny. Somebody talked about the solar flash earlier. And in my notes, it says powerful solar light code activations. So they want us to step up the meditation work now to be able to receive these activations, because sometimes they get a little bit uncomfortable. We have to be present. We have to practice our presence. The more we do that, the more fluid and open we are. Reason being is that when you practice presence and meditation, you start to dissolve the filters between your conscious and subconscious. And when subconscious things, because a lot of our traumas and dramas and programming are kind of stuck in our subconscious, and then they get stuck in our energy field and stuck in parts of our body, and then we have various diseases and illnesses. But if we can smooth the flows out, you can cure virtually anything. Maybe not 100% everything. You can cure virtually everything. So the idea is the more you can practice presence and sit with discomfort, because a lot of times, especially if you get anxiety, I mean, it could come from a lot of different sources, honestly, but usually the first experience of a suppressed trauma or something that's been stuck in your subconscious and locked in your energy field, the first thing that we feel when it starts to release is usually anxiety. So people will grab a cigarette or a joint or a glass of water or have sex or whatever you do to relieve anxiety. No, that's not the thing to do. Well, you can do all those things, but you should also learn how to sit with this discomfort and transcend that. And you can do that when you're present, when you're in your heart in that place of love. So really learn to, get in the habit of doing that. Those of you that meditate probably know exactly what I'm talking about. So portals open. So that's number 3. Moving right along, number 4, powerful manifestation. Well, Lammas, August 1st is the first harvest. All full moons are good for manifestation because that lunar energy is at its peak. And how do we manifest it? It's through energy. Everything is energy. So if we change our frequencies and we change our vibration, it changes things on the subatomic level. Quantum physics proves that now. And whatever happens on the subatomic level, sooner or later filters into the macro, filters into your reality. So for the average person, we're always recreating our future from our past because we have 65,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are born out of the past. So even if you're not conscious of those thoughts, it creates a feeling, an emotion, and emotion's energy. So you're taking your past and making that your present reality, your present vibration. Well, whatever's in your present vibration, you're creating the future out of your present. So you can stop that vicious cycle right now. You can stop that dead in its tracks by learning how to consciously manifest, learning how to be in the heart. This is the Leo season. This is the Lionsgate portal. This is the portal of the heart. If you're not doing heart-brain coherence or an equivalent practice, now's the time to start. We've got probably about a dozen videos on this channel on how to do it. You can go to Heart Math Institute. You can look up Greg Braden. You can look up Joe Dispenza. And there's other teachers also that you can look up that do this. And I'm making a course called the Heart Magnification System. It's already made, but it's going to probably be about 2 months before it's available for purchase, where I combine my yoga training, my martial arts, my heart-brain coherence, and I call it magnified heart-brain coherence. So anyway, we'll be teaching that soon enough. But in the meantime, there's resources here on the channel, and those that I mentioned, those teachers I mentioned, I consider them my teachers, so they're worth checking out also. All right, what else did I write about that? Powerful, one of the best times of the year for manifestation work, very expansive. Think big, dream big. So this is a time of expansion also. So number 5 is clearing old emotions, old stuck patterns. This full moon is really, really conducive and really, really good for that, for a couple of reasons, especially relationship patterns. Our relationship patterns are an extension of who we are and what we put out into the world. Relationships are the great mirror. And you'll miss the point if you look at every individual relationship as an exact mirror to you. It doesn't work that way. Take the sum of all of your relationships. The most important ones carry the most weight. Your family, your best friends, your romantic partners. Then, other people, then animals, then things. All this is relationships. It's all reflecting what we're putting back out there into this, into the fields, into the energetic fields. Our universe is set up this way. It's a matrix. It's a classroom. It's set up this way. So understand that. So anyway, so 5 is powerful man, clearing all the emotions, stuck relation pattern, understanding the dynamic. So we had Venus and Chiron both in retrograde. I didn't mention the fact that Venus is retrograde this entire month, and then Mercury and Uranus are going to go retrograde later on in the month. So when Venus is in retrograde, the retrograding planets are about retracing steps. Venus is our emotions. The moon is more the emotion, but Venus also, it's really about love. It's about money, security, and stuff like that. So when Venus is in retrograde, it's a great time to retrace our steps, to heal and clear old wounds. If there's problems in a present relationship, it's a good time to start to work through that, to start to open up communication. Uranus energy, Aquarian energy is really good for that. So that's basically that. So energy clearing, let go of negative people. That's number 6. You're more emotionally aware under this full moon. So honor your emotion. And many can't handle the pressure. So you're going to see a lot of people turning on you, like you haven't seen that already, right? It's going to continue, maybe even get a little worse before it gets better. And the 7th thing that they were saying, so I kind of blended clearing all the emotions, number 5 and number 6, because they are kind of the same, right? And then the 7th one, there was do water cleansing, clearing. You can do that through your visualizations. The moon is watery in nature. Now, even though Aquarius is an air sign, it's the water bearer, and it's the water in flow and balance, basically. So it's a really good time to do that kind of water type of work. Sacred baths, ceremony or showers, visualization. You have stuff like that. So this full moon and the 2 weeks it's past at a really good time. I do like a waterfall meditation sometimes where the water's hitting me and just washing all negative frequencies off of me. Our visualization is really powerful, and with this full moon energy, it's even more powerful. And Doreen was saying, I believe she was saying in the yoga class a couple of hours ago that she saw that's even what we visualize is even more powerful than affirmations. And I agree with that. When I do affirmations, it's to elicit the visualizations and to make them stronger more than anything, and to get that and it also reprograms the mind. So when you do affirmations, it's through the power of repetition. You scour away old programming and introduce new, more empowering programming to you. So let's get into psychic forecast time. Make moon water? Sure. Yeah, good to make moon water. And I did the dolphin card early. Yeah, we did that during tarot time. Yeah. Good morning. I think you said that you're in India, Arya. So it's morning there. It's our Sunday evening here. Okay, see some of the psychic prediction or forecast, and I have them all written out for me. So it's all very orderly. Supposedly, we'll see. So healing takes precedence. So some of these predictions are really more globally. Some are more our community of us who are in an awakening process right now and in the spiritual process. So you may hear of changes and upgrades in medicine and health and healing. So I think this month, I mean, we've been hearing about that already, although July, at least for what I'm aware of, was a little bit quieter, but it's all been happening behind the scenes anyways. So that's one thing. Healing takes precedence. So for us, really work on whatever it is that still needs to be healed. Again, this is part of the preparation for big changes in the world around us. It's percolating. Like I said, probably starting September, but I think we'll catch some wind of it even this month. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of political figures in my mind as I'm talking about that. The American president really comes up a lot in my mind now. So watch his health also. Like, like, he's obviously not the picture of health, but anyway, that might that's upgrades and things like medicine. Maybe we'll get more positive news about the med beds and technologies like that, which work more with the frequencies and help to regenerate tissues. Now, as I talk about that, I always tell people, cultivate the mind. That's how I healed myself. It wasn't through med beds. It was through my mind over matter. I had what was deemed incurable, and since I was a baby, and it took me 3 years, but mind over matter, making the reality of my mind of wellness more real than that. And of course, I had to do my shadow work. I had to clear, diseases of the mind. I had to make my mind healthy before my body could start to get healthy. And so some of these technologies may be more of a quick fix, but may not be solving the problem. I think it's better than like taking pills and stuff like that, because you're actually regenerating tissue. But you want to be able to heal with your mind. You want to develop your mind. You don't want to be over reliant on technology. That said, I think it's a beautiful thing. If they come up with something that can cure cancer, MS, and stuff like that, I'm all in. I'm all for it. But who's going to control that? And how's that going to be? How's that going to happen? Nobody's going to control your mind, especially when you cultivate your heart, because when you open your heart, hearts cannot be programmed. When you blend in your heart and your mind, they can't program you. So remember that. Take advantage of the technology. Western medicine has its place. I'd be dead without Western medicine. True story. So I embrace all of it, basically. So anyway, so that's that. New pressuring for vaccines, more cases. There may be something about a new virus, a new variant. So, hopefully that won't happen. Again, this is a psychic forecast. Not every single thing I say is going to hit. So I'll let you know that in advance. But I have to say, looking back, I have a pretty darn good track record. And I have no doubt that's going to continue. But that said, it's something in the air. It's not August, September. So keep an eye on that. Now, lots of messages from the extraterrestrials. I think a lot of us are going to really start to connect more with our extraterrestrial guides, our star families, as it were. So I think many more people are going to start to connect with that. Again, if you're present and open, you're not imagining it. You're getting it from spirit. So, again, that's the ego saying, oh, it's just the imagination. That's not real. I can't see it. I can't smell it. How can that be real? So we have to get out of that mindset. So what did I write down? Oh, that's all. So say many get more. And that there's more publicity is what I wrote. So there's been disclosures. The government is admitting that there's been extraterrestrial contact for a long time. In drips and drabs, they're admitting that. Now, I think that that's still part of an agenda, so we have to keep an eye on that. But I still think it's good that this stuff comes out in the open, because they want to help us. They want to work with us. They're waiting for us, you, me as individuals, to open up and to raise our frequencies enough so that they can access us. Most contact is telepathic, but you may have direct visits, which is really cool when that happens. Something that popped in: major newspaper or news station may get shut down or get challenged. And I wrote Fox with a question mark. I mean, that's already been under a lot of fire anyways. But it may not be Fox. It may be something like CNN or The Guardian or one of those. But I think there's going to be, I'm hearing the word slip up in my mind. So I think there's going to be, things that slip out that causes, Big Brother to shut them down, or either that or they volunteer that or something like that. So I think that might come up as a major news headline, fairly soon. So lots of international type energy, mostly centered around, and I left the word, I didn't write anything after that, but I think what I meant to say is conflicts, wars, stuff like that. World War III, you may hear more noise around that. I think more people are going to be talking about that in August. And it's kind of like there's a lot of flexing muscles around the world. That there's a lot of gearing up for that. As I'm talking about that, I feel like spiritually, it's all orchestrated. But again, we have the power to avert that. The more of us that can be in love and be in our heart, it makes it easier for other people to do that, because we're adding to the collective. And once that 100th monkey is reached, and that 100th monkey is anywhere from 1% to 3% of the population. Depending on who you talk to, not 50%. So if just 3% of people open their heart and see the world through love rather than through fear, everybody's going to start to awaken to that reality. That's what the 100th monkey experiment is. I think most of you know that, know about that experiment. So lots of internet. All right. Stocks value of money can decline, especially later in the month. So keep an eye on that also. Honestly, I think, things, economically, all things being equal, may be relatively stable, going into the month or part of the month. But, things go up, things go down. They were showing me a lot with the precious metals, and they're sort of saying that by towards the end of this year into next year, there may be a silver shortage that develops. I don't know if they use silver in weapons or why that would be exactly, but that would mean, maybe, silver's almost dirt cheap right now. It's at like 24 dollars an ounce, American dollars an ounce. Might be a good time to invest in that while the prices are down. I mean, silver, is historically kind of one of those that's always up and down and up and down. So most investors would tell you not to invest in that. But anyway, if there's a shortage, that's going to affect it. So we'll see. I don't think that's going to happen in August, but we'll see. So what else I write? Continued challenges in politicians, breaking stories, news comes out, money changes hands, possible bribes or laundering comes out. Well, most of us know that exists already, right? And we know that more is happening with Hunter Biden, for example. So that's just continuation of what's happening. So, or I even wrote that down. World War III, global tensions escalate. Matrix continues to dismantle. So, the Matrix theory is basically that the movie The Matrix is a documentary, not fiction. I think there's some level of truth to that. I look at it as a spiritual simulation, but it could very well be a computer simulation. And some scientists, even Greg Braden, speaks of scientifically it's possible. Like he says that it's actually possible for that we're all living in a matrix. In some level we are, like a simulation of some kind. Like I said, it's fractal. Like, in other words, it'll repeat indefinitely into infinity until something acts on that matrix, which is our energy, our vibration, our frequency. So as we change our frequency collectively and individually, it changes the matrix. It changes what we create in our life, and then that's how we learn and that's how we grow. So that's one of the reasons that life has to be hard for people that question that. I mean, we should have a good time, but while we're here, but we're not here to have a good time. We're here to learn and grow. It's some kind of a spiritual process that honestly, my brain's not big enough to understand why, we go through this. Apparently, we reach higher and higher levels. So we finally reemerge 100% with source. And then what? Do we do the cycle all over again? I don't know the reasons, to be quite honest, but I know the reality, which is why in our hearts and in our minds, we really want to evolve and grow. We really want to connect more with spirit. Spirit's that vibration, pure joy, pure gratitude, pure ecstasy, which is why we want to be happy, why we want to experience joy. It brings us closer to source. So as we expand in this expanding universe, we bring more experience and more growth to the collective or God or great spirit or whatever word you want to give it. And that's basically that. So the matrix, when I'm talking about the matrix, and now I'm really more talking about the programming more than anything. So the matrix dismantling kind of means that the whole programming behind it dismantles, but also this dismantling of the matrix means you're starting to connect with something higher and greater, and then there's less and less need for that kind of cause and effect 3D reality to be your main paradigm. So that's the dismantling. I was channeling this stuff, and I wrote this down. So I think that's really the meaning. So again, that's part of spiritual growth, and that whole like illusory cause and effect of this matrix or this fractal universe. It starts to dismantle because we come more into 5D and higher consciousness, which isn't cause and effect. It's not based on duality. It's based on a higher frequency. So They're also talking about after a lull, hurricane storms increase. And every now and then I pat myself on the back because in the beginning of June, I told you guys that the hurricane season is going to get to an unusually active start, then it's going to lull for a while. It got up to an unusually active start. It lulled in July. So there hasn't been a named storm for a while. I think that's going to change maybe in the next day or two, even. Maybe it already did. I'm not really up on the news, but I think some really again, they show me the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe that's partly weather knowledge and part psychic. That's usually where I feel like they can come up the East Coast also. So we all have to be aware of things like floods, winds, and stuff like that. That we're probably going to have a pretty nasty hurricane season. Sorry about that, but just get a plan in action. Have a plan, especially if you live in a vulnerable area. That would be near the coast, which a lot of people live near the coast, or in any area that's prone to flooding. So weather continues in the news. Do we need to be psychic to know that? No, we don't. Move next. The building to a crescendo probably in September. So I think that's part of the whole weather thing. Lots of unexpected events. That's the Uranus energy. So surprises, expect that. Someone leaves office, and I was thinking Mitch McConnell. We'll see what happened. I mean, I know he's in his 80s. He's the minority leader of the House, right? Am I getting that right? Oh, thank you, Wiles. Sorry, I didn't even see you come on. No. Oh, yeah. So you know the Matrix very well. Yes. So this isn't. I mean, this could happen in other countries too. That somebody leaves office. I mean, granted, any month somebody's going to leave office, but I mean somebody that's going to have impact. That's going to have a ripple effect on what happens in politics. Basically, politics is a game as far as I'm concerned. The right wing, the left wing. Like the Native American meme says. What if I was to tell you the right wing and the left wing belong to the same bird? Of course, I add the words dirty, corrupt bird. So the right wing and the left wing belong to the same dirty, corrupt bird. And it's a system of programming to keep us separated, to keep us divided, and to keep us arguing with each other. And they're going to keep feeding things into the collective, into the news to maintain that, because that keeps us from being in our power. So, some of you are very warm on the ex-president Donald Trump. Some of you are the exact opposite. Just kind of take it just as just part of a process. There's good, bad, and ugly in all of these politicians and all these schools of thought. I mean, our ex-president was attractive, I think, for a lot of reasons, and some people really believe he's really carrying some higher and sacred wisdom. I'm not going to tell you guys they believe that you're wrong or right, by the way. But I will say that in a way, that kind of shake up energy, of somebody that's not a politician, I think it kind of catalyzes the inevitable, and one way or another, I think that's going to help to catalyze, further awakening, for better or for worse. Again, depending on your views on on this very controversial and very polarizing figure. So anyways, where are we? From these office, some financial recovery. I think that's happening already. Yeah, Michael knows a little bit more about the economy, Michael Marr, so he might chime in with that also. But tend to destabilize towards later in the month again as the international tensions arise. War really affects the economy, for better or for worse. And I even wrote down recommended to look into precious metals towards late year. There could be silver shortage already. I just said that developing. So maybe look into investing. I mean, it could wind up being a platinum shortage or another precious metal. Keep your finger on the pulse if that's your style of that. So new technologies rollout, focus on AI, EVs, healing technologies. We talk, here and there about the whole transhumanism and interfacing with technology. Don't do it. It's very tempting, but don't do it. My cell phone glitches. Are you going to have technology in your body? And I mean, logic. Logic. Everybody. I always think of I think it was the second Hunger Games movie with that technology geek, and this was like way in the future. He's saying there's always a flaw in the system. There's always a glitch. There's always a flaw in technology. So remember that. But in spirit, there's never a flaw. So interface with spirit. And honestly, they're going to come up with things through like interfaces that can simulate the spiritual experience. They can give you a simulated experience of enlightenment, and that's going to be very tempting for a lot, but there's no shortcuts. But that said, the other side of the coin, which is probably more accessible to you guys and most people, is the fact is, who's going to control the interfacing of the technology? Who's going to be pushing the buttons if we're interfaced with technology? Yeah, and who's going to have direct access to our brains and bodies that can program us directly? These are things to really, really think about. Oh, good. The live stream didn't just crash when I said that. I'll neutralize that thought. Chances are, though, sometimes, the I don't think I'm getting shadow banned, and my channel's not big enough. But I know when I really talk about this stuff, there's the tendency for there to be less views. So anyway, I'm going to clear that thought, neutralize that thought. We have the power to create anything we want, right? Okay, very good. So many will get ET visits, meet their already talked about that. Lots of awakening galactic communities. All right, and I wrote a few things down for us as a community. I'll just print this because it's an important. Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing with late August and changes. That's interesting. But they will most likely unveil a new gold-backed currency. I could see that being messy, but I think that's long overdue personally. I don't know what your take on is, but I think that's long overdue. I think it's in 72. It was during the Nixon era that we got taken off the gold standard, and which basically means like here in the States, you don't need gold in Fort Knox to validate printing currency. They can print as much currency as they darn well choose to print. Basically is what that means, in a very overly simplistic way of describing that, I'll add. So for us, healing, clearing, preparation for major global changes, probably this fall. Alignment shifts. Expect new connections with people, groups, and interests. Like I said, Uranus is very, very active in August. It can be challenging because it's the planet of surprises, but it's also about higher mind, higher consciousness, and higher levels of community. So new friendships, new alliances, stuff like that. Leo rules the heart. So this is for us. Those of us who have been doing the work for a while will experience big changes in the heart. Expect what you love to adjust or change under this energy. So what you really love to do or things that are really you mean a lot to you is likely to change, because as we grow in the heart center, we change, our perspective changes, and then what we gravitate towards changes. So things that we love to do are likely to change. That's a good thing. That's just part of our evolution. Ending relationship, beginning new ones. Now, every month I talk about endings, relationships, but now, because we have a full moon at a 9-degree point, and we have a lot of this energy, and Venus is retrograde also, this is probably going to be kind of the peak, like all year. And even in last year, there was like this bell curve that was building, people leaving their romantic partners because they're no longer on the same page, people ending friendships, stuff like that. I've gotten the habit of speaking up. That's always that popular. And I had a very good friend, spoke up. I challenged this person on their lack of respect for my boundaries, and I just got totally gaslighted in the process. And basically, nasty email ending with the statement, the problem with you is you think you're better than everybody else. So that's what this person told me. That's the last I heard from that individual. I don't have a problem with it, honestly. I'm totally fine with it, because I know new more enlightened and more empowering relationships that have more balance are going to take that place. You may have similar experiences where you're outgrowing some of your closest, nearest, and dearest, and that's fine. Loss is always a hard thing, but understand when you're in your heart, you can process that much easier, because loss means there's going to be another gain. Everything comes in waves. There's crests, there's troughs, there's gains, there are losses. That's just part of the cycle of life. That's part of the circle with no circumference. So you understand that, you understand everything. Venus retrograde beckons us to get to the bottom of all relationship issues and challenges. Do lots of heart chakra work this month. We talked about that. For the Lions gate, we must unlearn everything about portals. So they're saying, what we learn, what people tell us about portals, we need to unlearn that, because it's not really the way that it is, apparently, what they mean, etc. This year is a new because the energy is changing, so the frequencies of the portals are changing with it. That was the reason. So new and different, and will help most with our deep healing to avail a quantum shift late in the year. So Leo is the heart, so double down on that heart practice. I'll pin one of my heart brain coherence videos when this becomes a video for you guys to work with that. But this is time to really, really work with the heart center and unlearn things that we thought about, energy, frequencies, and portals. All right, so they also gave us a few exercises to do that we can do. So here we go. One of them was saying, do a meditation where you go to your future self. Now, time is fluid. All time happens in the present moment. I mean, I've always known this in theory until I actually had a real temporal displacement that was freaky. I don't know if it scared me, because I haven't had one since, and I want to, but it happened, I don't know, not quite a year ago. I had a few minor ones. One time I was just kind of sort of, in a meditative state. I was listening to music. All of a sudden, everything went black for a second. I came back, and then the same line of the music repeated itself. And I went back in time maybe a half second. It wasn't a huge displacement, but I definitely went back, and and it wasn't like the way the music was. It wasn't just the same notes repeated itself. So it's like the same line of music repeated itself. Then I got really dizzy. I got nauseous. It took me about 10 minutes to stop sweating from that. And that was a temporal displacement, a displacement in time. And we have the ability to time travel. People know how to do that. People are doing that now. And there's very strict laws. One of the channelings I did with the master teachers talked about that there's very strict interdimensional, intergalactic rules that you can't, that you can't change the timeline. That's not allowed. And they were saying that the ETs were permitted to start to act on our behalf, because there actually really is a non-interference clause. Like in Star Trek, it's called the Prime Directive. That really does exist, that they're not allowed to interfere with our natural evolution. So as we reach a certain point in our evolution, we attract beings that have been there and done that to assist us through our process organically and naturally, not to give us things and give us the answers or to change our timelines or to interfere with our natural evolution, but to help us with it, to assist us with it. But since that treaty was violated, that gave them the right to actually act on our behalf and to shield us from some of the attacks from the negative extraterrestrials. So yeah, there really is a cosmic war going on, and the wars on Earth are a reflection of that. So anyway, where was I? All right. Anyway, I went off on a tangent, but so the exercise is get very meditative. Go to your future self. You could say maybe they're saying roughly 4 or 5 years. Go to your future self. See yourself very successful. So you get into a meditation. What are you doing in the future? Who are you talking to? Where are you living? And stuff like that. And then ask your future self to give you advice for your present self. Your future self is one of your spirit guides. So they're saying this month, really start to treat your future self that way. So the next thing was understand the matrix. Now, understanding the matrix means that the matrix is different for every person. And they were stressing that point, that my matrix is not your matrix. So for me to assume that you're going to perceive things about this physical reality the way that I do, that's called being in your ego, because everybody's in their own matrix. The experience of reality is different for every person. So if people don't understand, you've got to let that go. You can't expect them to see reality the way that you're seeing it, because they're in a different matrix, because their lessons are different. What they need to learn and grow from is different. So what happens is the different matrices kind of intersect and kind of blend to some degree, so we can have a shared experience of reality, but we're all in different matrices. They're saying understand that's a personal exercise. Now they're saying open the throat. So I think I talked about this in tarot time also. We talk about heart-brain coherence. The heart and the brain cannot blend if the throat is not open, because that's the chakra in between the heart chakra and the third eye and the crown chakra. So in order to really get your heart-brain coherent, really to sync your heart and your brain, and then you become coherent with spirit, and then your supernatural abilities kick in to heal things like cancer and MS, and to get amazing psychic abilities, and to reverse the aging process, which is scientifically validated by, according to Heart Math Institute anyways. So how do we do that? Sing, chant, do breathing exercise, do the lion, right? It's the lion seed. Doreen did that in the yoga class. You can check that out in the yoga class. Do things to open your throat. Now, they're also saying if you use tarot or divination cards, create your own matrix spread and use that to help create your reality, because our matrix is our reality. That's a 9-card spread. Three, and that taps into the 369. The powers of 3 is about the forces that act upon this dualistic binary universe. So the physical universe is a product of zeros and ones. But then the number 3 are the forces that act on that. So Tesla knew about that and talked about that. The 369 code. So the matrix spread in tarot, I kind of coined that, but there really is a spread like this by a different name. Or you can use other divination cards. You can use angel cards, but it's a row of 3 on the top, a row of 3 in the middle, and a row of 3 on the bottom. And I have one in my room with one of my tarot decks. And you want your reality to be a reflection of what you're creating, your spread. Like, in other words, your matrix card to be a spread that's your reality. Now, the top 3 is your spirit or your crown energy. So have the cards in the top 3 consistent with that. The left is the feminine side, the right is the masculine side, or and the middle is the balance. I think there's 3 nadis that go up the spine, right, Doreen? They carry the spinal fluid, or the Shakti or Kundalini, up to the brain and then back down to the root. So the top is the crown chakra. That's your spiritual ideals. The middle one is the heart chakras. That's what your heart, and the bottom is the root chakras. That's your physical reality. Not naughty. Two naughty channels. I'm sorry. I thought there were 3. My mistake. Thanks for that correction. But there still is a center line, in between those 2 nadis, I do believe. So there still is a point of equilibrium. So anyway, so that's that. Yoga pose, poses including the lion pose. Deep healing exercise. Use heart-brain coherence to blend your disease. So this is how you do this exercise. You first learn heart-brain coherence that we teach on the channel, or you can get that from other sources. It's really a way of blending heart and brain. There's other ways to do it. The idea is you sit with magnified gratitude and compassion in your heart, and you consciously feel your heart and your brain blend. It does that anyway, because your heart and your brain are connected. The heart is the frequency generator, the largest one in the body. The brain is the transmitter receiver of that frequency. So they're part of the same system. They're part of the same whole. So when you really bring your heart into vibrational coherence, which are emotions of gratitude, appreciation, love, compassion, all that stuff, and your brain blends in. So whatever it is, whatever your disease is, whether it's a physical thing, whether it's emotional, mental thing, what you want to do is once you're blended, just take a moment to check in with that. So feel the energy of it. And we're not asking you to relive everything or doing anything unpleasant, but whatever it is, like I used to have severe chronic eczema and other things. And so what I would do is I would just tap into the energy and frequency of that into my mind. And I made this exercise. Then I found out it's very standard in NLP work. So I didn't even know that at the time. But what you do is once you get the frequency in your mind, give that a shape in your mind. It doesn't have to make sense. Just get it like that and give it a color. And then what you do is you place that in your heart and you blend that disease with your heart-brain coherence and see it just kind of blending with your body. It comes into balance. The idea is you're not going to heal disease if you resist it. You're only going to heal it if you embrace it. And when you embrace it, it loses its power. It basically dissolves, and then your body and your mind start to get healthier. So they were saying to do that. And as that's happening, visualize that colored shape dissolving. So that was that. So that's a lot of information. That's a lot of exercises. So I'm going to ask Spirit, what did I miss? And I'm going to pull a couple of divination cards. Okay, so there we go, male and female, and then she's saying, yes, where they meet are the chakras. Gotcha. Okay, and anyways, I love having a yoga expert, or I mean, I'm sure you still consider yourself a student, but I consider you an expert. All right. So this is Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors deck. So, and he's a very wise, I think he's a rainbow child. I mean, he's very, very, very spiritual, very wise young man. I feel like they're saying, he's, I don't know, it doesn't matter. They're all labels anyways. Interesting, High Priestess. So here's what the card looks like. Did we get this? We got this in tarot time also. I swear I mixed these up. So it's not like I'm just pulling from the same part of the deck. Maybe, I'm sorry about the autofocus. It's always an adventure. Apparently it focuses on my face, so I wonder if that helps a little bit. So it's the High Priestess. That's the female mysteries. Yeah. Everybody's saying, same as this morning. That's what I'm saying. I swear it wasn't like, I did mix these up, and Spirit guided me to the exact same cards. So we're putting a stamp on that. Harness mystic power. Yes. So it's very Egyptian, but she has feathers also. And there's a black cat that might represent Bastet, the cat goddess, the mysteries, stuff like that. So what's this trying to tell me? It's another message. Part of it is understanding the divine feminine also. Because, Leo is very, maybe more leaning towards the divine masculine because it's really like the sun. The sun's, associated more with the male energy or an active energy, more of a yang energy, if you prefer that over the gender qualities. So I feel like I'm saying, don't ignore the divine feminine also. And that's our intuition, that's our ability to heal ourselves and others, our ability to go within and solve problems, be introspective. So a lot of us are not me, I'm more of an introvert myself, but a lot of us are extroverts. So a lot of this, I think, it's going within and finding answers from within also, and finding your animal totem guide, your spirit guide. So I think this energy is really going to help with that as well. Since Doreen knows these cards because she studied with the teacher, opportunity to rise up, use your intuition and discernment. So that's a really good message. Let's do our frequency of the month via the sacred geometry cards. I forgot what we got this morning, but I'll just fall over laughing if I get the same card that we got this morning from this deck also. I think I'm missing out on a lot of great information. Yes, I am. Okay. Hopefully I'm also imparting a lot of great information. Okay, so let me clear my mind a second. Oh, they got me right to the card. That was quick. Coherence, I love it. No, that's not what we picked this morning, but what have we been talking about? Or what is Adam always talking about? Heart-brain coherence, right? So a heart and coherence is basically feeling love, and compassion. So let me see what it says. The frequency Hold on a second. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. So I'm saying we can apply heart-brain coherence, blending the heart and the brain frequency in order to do really good, powerful law of attraction work. And last week's video, last Thursday's upload, was exactly how to do that. So that's something else that's going to get pinned to when this becomes a video also. The idea, let me raise this up, is you just want to absorb this frequency. And we're at, where are we? We're at, God, 109, 110. We've been on an hour and 10 minutes. So if you want to go back to the video and work with this at 110, you can do this. But right now, take a mental snapshot, and this is going to aid and abet your heart-brain coherence and blending those frequencies. So I'm just going to do one last thing before I sign off here. Oh, God, I'm just going to flash this because I had a client that was a victim of the Ponzi scheme. And just Friday, just 2 days ago. And it was an intense reading, to be sure. Yeah. So, I didn't really touch too much on current events with this, but just as a general statement, a lot's rising to the surface. A lot of the scum is boiling to the surface. It's going to come out in drips and drabs. You look between the lines, and then it's, finally going to make its way into the mainstream. So we're going to really see all that. So I just wanted to do an angel message. The author is Long, I think it's the name. The author, Lon, I believe. I don't have the box with me, but I believe Lon, Lon. Here we go. Yeah, Lon, Lon is the author. Okay. Right at the top. Okay, well, we like the top. Francesca. And what Francesca says, what do you desire right now? Visualize it, and it will come about. Negatively will block your progress. Obviously, what they want to, what Spirit wants to say, because they're asking, give us what I haven't really touched on, is law of attraction. I mean, we did touch on it, but I think it's their way of saying this month is going to be a really amazing time. Now, we've got to get fear out of the equation. Fear is, it's a survival instinct. It's not negative, but it's very unconducive to spiritual work. When we're in the heart, we're not in fear of survival emotions anymore, and we're more with spirit. So the thing is, we're always creating. So we want to make that conscious. So maybe, do some new visualizations, new affirmations, work with the video on heart-brain coherence and apply that, because that's what's going to power, in my opinion. Obviously I created the video and the technique, but I because it's worked for me, and it's worked for people who have done some studying with me also. But that's really the key. If you can get coherent in heart and brain, your visualization, your affirmation, and all your tools get much, much stronger. So I will definitely post that video for you guys. I suggest you watch it, work with it, and you may create some really, really, really amazing things in the month of August. So anyways, is that the dolphin overhead? Yes, indeed. I do believe that is a dolphin. I mean, it has that shape. It's actually, I mean, it may be like a crescent moon motif, but if you're seeing a dolphin, and I'm seeing it too, it's a dolphin, basically. And sometimes you can get personal messages just by what you notice in the cards. Francesca, so we must have gotten this earlier because we knew that. Did we get this one this morning also? Oh my goodness. So that's 2 out of 3 we got this morning. And it's kind of like Spirit just beeline my hand right to that card. It's not like I thought about it. It's right at the top. They're like, top card, pull it. And it was that card. So anyways, yeah, it looks like angel wings. That's what I think it is. But, dolphins and the angels are very connected. Yeah, very connected. So anyways, that was long, but there's a lot of information to share with you. I don't think I got too overly wordy. I think there's just a lot to share, between the full moon forecast and this one. So we're done. Tuesday, going on Tuesday? We're doing a transmission with the master teachers on Tuesday. That prepares for the Lionsgate portal for the full moon, very powerful full moon energy. Thursday, we have live mediumship. So log on. You may get a message from one of your loved ones in spirit through me. On 8/8, we're actually going to do transmission for the heart and the peak of the Lionsgate portal. And again, I'll invite you guys to check out Spirit Mind Family, our Patreon community. $5 a month, you get probably over $100 worth of benefits for that, including 2 additional transmissions with the master teacher. For anyone that wants to go deeper and really start to do this work to help you to ascend. And I'm seeing, I know who comes at a regular basis, and I know I'm seeing the differences. I know it's working for myself. I know it's working for you guys. So they're very dedicated to helping us to raise our frequency so that we can ascend and that we can, awaken and evolve and come into our power. So that's what I got for you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for sticking it out for this whole hour and 15 minutes. I love you.